Yo, what's going on, guys? Seth Spartan here, nutrition, training, and hormone expert and Prometheus Pro bodybuilder with Prometheus HRT, the world's best testosterone and hormone replacement clinic. Use my code Spartan to save on either testosterone or HGH replacement therapy or peptides or Anavar, Anadrol, and the list goes on as long as you qualify. Guys, without any further ado, this is Anavar versus Winstrol, answering the ultimate question: which is better, which is superior for muscle gain, strength, fat loss, performance, show and contest prep, and safety. So we've got 6 main categories which by to answer this question, which is better in each category, and then we will answer the ultimate question that you are all here for, which is better overall, and which takes home the cake. So guys, without further ado, I'm Seth Spartan. Here we go. And guys, both of these medications, Anavar and Winstrol, are available at Prometheus HRT with a prescription alongside regular TRT or HRT replacement therapy. So here we go. Number 1, Anavar versus Winstrol, muscle gain. Which is superior for building muscle, building maximum muscle mass? Well, we can look at the studies we have. We can look at real world application, and there is a clear and consistent winner in both of these categories. What is it? I'm sure many of you guys have already guessed. Win number 1 for Anavar. Anavar is by far superior when we're talking milligram per milligram. If we compare 25 milligrams per day to 25 milligrams of Winstrol per day, Anavar to Winstrol, Anavar comes out on top all day, every day in terms of muscle gain. Anavar is one of the most powerful muscle builders, milligram per milligram, exceeding that with even a drug like Trenbolone and others. Anavar is by far superior for muscle gain. Again, milligram per milligram. 25 milligrams of Anavar versus 25 milligrams of Winstrol. All right, that's number 1. Anavar on top for muscle gain. Number 2, strength. Which is better when it comes down to strength? Again, milligram per milligram. Anavar or Winstrol. This one might surprise some people. It is not Winstrol. Anavar also takes the cake in this category for being better for strength. And people might be shocked by this, but if we're talking prescription grade, pharmaceutical grade, Anavar versus Winstrol, Anavar is going to come out on top. A lot of the time, if people want to argue Winstrol for strength, it's because oftentimes if you're not getting prescription grade Anavar, you're getting Anavar, from whatever, black market or any other garbage. Most of the time, guys, Anavar is faked, and whatever Anavar is actually Winstrol. And that's just one more reason on top of the many reasons to do everything legally, safely through a hormone replacement clinic, because you actually know what you're getting. Having said all that, one more thing I want to touch on with the strength category. If we're looking at just the anabolic, androgenic, and guys, go watch my Unleashed videos for either Winstrol Unleashed or Anavar Unleashed for a full 1 hour or close to 1 hour breakdown on everything we talk about: compound structure, what kind of steroid it is. We talk about everything you need to know, anabolic, androgenic ratings, ratios, comparing them to the real world, everything. So go watch those videos. This is just a quick comparison. But if you look at the anabolic, androgenic ratings of both Anavar and Winstrol on paper, you might say, well, they're not super far off. But remember, Anavar, goes up to about, a 600, scientific rating in terms of anabolic component. And also, guys, in the real world studies, Anavar actually outperforms its anabolic androgenic rating in terms of building muscle mass. Whereas obviously drugs like halotestin and others, it goes the other way, where the ratio is far inflated. However, in the case of Winstrol and Anavar, both are DHT derivative oral anabolic steroids. More on that in a second when we break down some of these other points. Having said all that though, guys, if we're talking strength, for absolute strength gains, Anavar by far, again, for comparing 25 milligrams of Anavar to 25 milligrams of Winstrol all day, every day, Anavar is going to beat out Winstrol in terms of strength. Moving on, number 3. Let's answer number 3. Fat loss. Which is superior for fat loss? Which is superior? Again, Anavar all day, every day. And I want to make a point here. Anavar and Anadrol, both in the scientific literature and the medical studies, completely rip off body fat. Anadrol and Anavar are both powerful fat burners, and Winstrol alongside there. Winstrol is not slack. You got to think, Anavar, Winstrol, and Anadrol are all what? They are DHT derivatives. And in the last comparison video I did, I talked about, and also in the Unleashed series, I talked about how DHT derivatives, or how DHT and DHT derivative steroids are extremely powerful and potent at burning fat. Obviously, you have testosterone derivatives, you have DHT derivatives, you have 19-nor derivatives or nandrolone derivatives that compile pretty much every single anabolic steroid. Well, if we look at the human body, we have testosterone, which in the human body, we also have DHT. Testosterone converts into DHT via the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. However, if we look at testosterone versus, if we look at your body's natural testosterone versus DHT, what we find in the human body is DHT, guys, actually burns a lot more body fat than testosterone. Why? Because DHT, when it's in the bloodstream, has a really high affinity or a powerful binding effect on the fat cells, especially around the torso, where you want to lose weight. So the DHT will attach onto the fat cells directly onto those androgen receptor binding sites and tell the fat cells release your stored fatty acids. And in this case, again, in the human body, got to run through this. In the human body, DHT far outputs testosterone in terms of burning fat. However, Anavar and Winstrol are both DHT derivatives, but we see Anavar doing a much more potent binding affinity to those fat cells. And guess what? Anavar, and I want to say this, go on the record and say this, Anavar is the most powerful, potent fat-burning anabolic steroid in existence. It is incredible. You can go look at studies done with 60-year-old men. You can go look at all these, the testing after people have used Anavar for however many weeks, and it is amazing. Anavar rips off body fat. It is a fat burner. It definitely fits that class, even though being an anabolic steroid. But Anavar beats out every single anabolic steroid in regards to fat loss, not just Winstrol. So Anavar takes home, again, the cake here. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4, performance. Let's talk about performance. Performance. What is going to give you the greatest performance gains, stamina gains, endurance gains if we're talking about athletics and we're talking about being able to output maximum athletic ability? Well, both of these compounds are extremely good at doing just that. Winstrol, if you remember, has been used in the Olympics by Olympians, all the time. Or many Olympians have been busted for using Winstrol. If we're thinking about track and field sprinters, etc., because Winstrol does a great job at doing what? Making people run faster, be able to have more endurance, stamina, be able to output more muscle, strength when they're running and get faster times if we're talking about sprinters. Having said that, again, we have a clear winner, not by a ton, but we have a clear winner when talking about performance, and that is Anavar. Again, number 4, Anavar is going to beat out Winstrol in terms of performance. This is probably one of the closest ones, but Anavar still is a clear winner. You're going to get more performance gains with Anavar, not just in the gym, but we're talking about in any sport, all right? Moving on to number 5, Anavar versus Winstrol. Number 5 is this, show and contest prep. Which is better for show and contest prep, Anavar or Winstrol? Well, guys, this is where the table starts to turn. Winstrol is going to be far better when we're talking about show and contest prep. And this is not just talking about a bodybuilding show. We're talking about acting and modeling, getting ready for a photo shoot, getting in the best look of your life. Winstrol is going to do something that Anavar cannot do because of its molecular structure and binding ability. Winstrol actually can bind. Not only does Winstrol bind onto aromatase enzymes and act as an AI effect, but Winstrol actually has arguably the ability, and this has been somewhat demonstrated with Winstrol. Winstrol has the ability of actually being able to attach onto estrogen receptor sites and exert an AI effect. Think Nolvadex or Clomid. Obviously, Nolvadex being the stronger one. So Winstrol and Mastron share the ability of being able to act as an AI aromatase inhibitor, binding onto those aromatase enzymes and stopping conversion of estrogen, which, Mastron and Winstrol will both do that and both give you, a good show look. However, Winstrol takes it a step farther and is actually able, and the only anabolic steroid that I know that is actually able to bind onto estrogen receptor sites and cause, guess what? Cause that effect or that ability of acting like Nolvadex, getting in the way of estrogen binding and basically acting like an anti-estrogen, all right, and being able to stop estrogen binding. So if we're talking about, an Anavar, with the fat loss and everything else, it's going to still give you a hardening effect and everything else. Anavar is going to make you look full, hard, dense. You'll be, it can be argued that it has a slight AI effect, but, mostly it can be argued, but we don't really see that much in the literature. However, Anavar is going to give you a nice, hard, full look. You're going to be vascular. But the thing is that if we're talking about Winstrol is going to blow Anavar out of the water in terms of giving you the best shape of your life. And I'm not telling you guys to use Winstrol, but I'm being plain honest, giving credit where credit is due. If we're talking about show, contest prep, getting ready for acting, modeling, photo shoots, whatever, Winstrol is going to give you that look. Why? It has the AI effect that Anavar does not have. And guess what? It also has an anti-estrogen effect that Anavar does not have, and pretty much any other anabolic steroid on the planet. Winstrol is a crazy oral anabolic steroid, much like Anadrol. And that's one thing to note is Anadrol is one of the other oral anabolic steroids that actually binds onto estrogen receptor sites. However, whereas Anadrol will bind an estrogen receptor site and activate it, Winstrol will bind an estrogen receptor site and inactivate it. So crazy, amazing stuff. But Winstrol, in terms of show, contest prep, Winstrol beats out all day, every day in terms of, giving you a look that nothing else can replicate. Moving on to the last point, and then we are out of here. All right, let's get this done. Number 6, safety. If we're talking about safety, overall safety in terms of, whether medical use or for performance use, Anavar versus Winstrol. Anavar is going to be better for safety, period. No argument here. Anavar and also Anadrol. We're not talking about Anadrol in this video, but it has to be stated. Anavar and Anadrol are arguably the 2 safest oral steroids in existence, okay, next to oral primobolan. The reason for this is because both Anavar and Anadrol, if we're looking at the medical literature, milligram per milligram, they have a super low rate of liver toxicity. Okay, so Anavar in terms of milligram per milligram, strain, stress on the liver, Anavar, Winstrol are both C17 oral steroids. Both are going to strain and stress the liver, jack up AST, ALT levels. And by doing so, the higher those levels go, the more lethargy, more tired, you can create nausea doing that. And ultimately, if people can basically have liver failure if oral steroids are abused to the extent, especially when they mix them with alcohol or ibuprofen or other things. However, if we're talking, guys, in terms of, again, what is the best in terms of safety? Using these compounds short-term under doctor supervision, getting your levels checked. Anavar, clear and obvious winner in terms of safety. Again, Anavar and also Anadrol have the lowest, some of the lowest oral toxicity if we're talking about oral steroids, even though they're both C17. I want to note this though: Winstrol, Dianabol, and Halotestin have some of the worst toxicities if we are talking about oral anabolic steroids. Okay, so Winstrol, Dianabol, Halotestin, whereas Anavar and Anadrol have a much lower. No, obviously oral primobolan, but oral primobolan is not a C17 in the first place. But having said that, guys, that's pretty much it. Okay, we've talked about muscle gain, we talked about strength, we talked about fat loss, we talked about performance, show contest prep, and safety. So guys, that's pretty much it. Let's answer the ultimate question then. Which is better, Anavar versus Winstrol? Which is it? Let's add this up. We have 5. We have 5 in the Anavar camp, and we have 1 in the Winstrol camp. So let's answer the question, which is better? All day, every day, 5-1. Anavar is the superior oral steroid in terms of bodybuilding, fitness, athletics, also as an HRT add-on or for use in the medical field and medical industry. And guys, that is also why in America, Anavar was prescribed much more widely than Winstrol, based on what I know. So guys, that's pretty much it. I'm Seth Spartan. It's been a pleasure. Guys, do everything safely, legally, under doctor supervision. Again, both of these compounds are available at Prometheus HRT with a prescription, along with HRT if you qualify. So guys, again, it's been a pleasure. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we are out of here.